Om Sai Ram. Let us understand chapter number 38, description of cooking in the vessel. But before that, let us do the Namasmaran, followed by chapter number 38, and we will conclude by doing the Aarti. Shri Sachidananda Satguru Sainath Maharaj ki jai. ओम श्री साई नाथाय नमः. 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 Om Sai Ram. Chapter number 38, description of the cooking and the vessel. I bow down to Shri Ganesh. I bow down to Shri Saraswati. I bow down to the Guru. I bow down to the family deity. I bow down to Shri Sita Ramachandra. I bow down to Shri Satguru Sainath. Obeisance at your feet, Guru Raya, who have given happiness to the world, accomplished the welfare of devotees, and have removed threefold afflictions of those who have resorted at your feet, protector of the humble and weak, the supremely generous uplifter of the devotees who have surrendered, you have manifested in the world to oblige the people. Hail, hail to you, destroyer of duality. Hail, hail to you, adored one of the devotees. Hail, hail to you, remover of fear of existence. Hail, Guru Raya, cloud of mercy. What good fortune has borne fruit, by which I have seen these feet with my own eyes, and enjoyed the bliss of association. Those days are gone, never to return. The liquid essence of the pure self was poured into the mold of a Brahman, and out of this emerged the form of a crest jewel of Saint Sai. Sai is himself Atmaram. Sai is the abode of perfect divine bliss. Having himself attained all the objects of life, he makes his devotees desireless. He who is the supporter of all religions and the devourer with Brahmanic and marital lustre of death. This is his characteristic in brief. He who breaks the ties of previous birth and death, snapping them angrily to him. I, the dull witted and the ignorant, bow with eightfold prostrations. In the last chapter, with great delight, I depicted Sainath's Chavdi. Now, in this chapter, listen to the description of the cooking and the vessel. It will give you unalloyed happiness. A suckling child is only interested in feeding, but does not know what to have, whether it should be given milk or a light morsel. That is the responsibility that the mother takes. Similarly, is my mother Sai. He puts the pen in my hand and gets the book written without any effort on my part for the delight of his devotees. In the Shastras, for the different epochs, different means are prescribed for attaining nirvana. Penance for the Krita Yuga, knowledge for the Trita Yuga, sacrifice for the Dwarpa Yuga, and charity for the Kali Yuga. Performance of charity and righteous action is always important. Pacifying hunger is the best of all. Therefore, giving food in charity should be regularly done. It takes precedence over all other actions. When it becomes noon, we suffer from the pangs of hunger. Just as we feel, so do the others. One who understands this inner feeling is virtuous. According to the code of conduct laid down by the Shastras, giving food in charity has the first place. When considered, there is nothing greater than that. Food is Parabrahma. From food, all beings are born. By food, lives are sustained, and having departed into food again, they enter. When an uninvited guest arrives at any odd time, a householder should make the guest happy. Those who send them back hungry invite trouble for themselves. Giving charity of money, property, clothing, etc. requires some discrimination. But in the matter of food, no such consideration is necessary. Whoever comes at any time to the door, it is not good to disrespect them. Such is the greatness of giving food in charity. There is evidence of it in the Shrutis too. Therefore, Baba too offered food to the people, behaving as per long established tradition. Giving money or doing any other charity is imperfect without giving food in charity, as is the constellation of stars without the moon, or a necklace without its pendant. Would they look beautiful? Just as Varan is amongst the best of the six flavors, giving food in charity is the most meritorious. A spire without a pinnacle does not seem befitting, nor does a lake without lotuses, nor bhajan without devotion, nor a married lady without a kumkum mark on her forehead, nor singing without a sweet voice with its tedious, nor buttermilk without salt, which is tasteless. When offering food, the diseased, the weak, the blind, the cripple, and the poor should be served first. The relations with other people afterwards. Now, so that the listeners get a general idea of Baba's cooking vessel, I am making an effort to satisfy those who are curious. In the courtyard of the masjid, he arranged a big hearth on the top of which a huge vessel was placed with a proper measure of water. Sometimes he cooked sweet rice and sometimes pulao with mutton. Sometimes he prepared wheat flour dumplings and cooked them in the varan. Sometimes he made wheat rogda or rolled out wheat panga and put them in the varan that was being cooked together with the dumplings very gently. After grinding the spices on a stone slab, he made everything ready for cooking. After preparing the mugha vadi with his own hands, he slowly put them into the cooking vessel. With the hope of getting a place in heaven, animals are sacrificed as an offering for the yagna. Even the Brahmins can eat meat after the offering. At, as the Shastras accept this ritual killing. Similarly, Baba invited the mullah to recite Quranic verses before killing the goat in keeping with the religious custom. There were two kinds of cooking vessels, one big and one small. Using one or the other, he would cook for those who needed the food. The small vessel held enough food for 50 persons. The big one was large enough to feed 100 persons and have some food over. For all the requirements, Baba went personally to the grocer and had him draw up the accounts. He paid immediately in cash. There was no question of credit. Salt, chilies, cumin seeds, peppercorns, vegetables, coconut, copra. Baba bought all these personally after carefully deciding upon the items. Sitting in the masjid and setting up the grinding stone, with his own hands, Baba would grind there the wheat, the pulses, and the millet. Baba did all the main labor for the cooking. Untiringly, he did all this. Even the grinding of the spices was done by him with love. Baba would rearrange the firewood in the hearth on and off as needed to make the flames high or low. After soaking the pulses, he would grind them himself on a grinding stone. Then mix asafoetida, cumin seeds, coriander, and make the dish well spiced and palatable. After well kneading the wheat dough, coiling in the adequate length, he would make balls and then roll them out and make flat unleavened breads. He used to also make ambil in the cooking vessel by adding adequate quantity of water to millet flour and mixing it with buttermilk and cooking it. The umbil was also served by Baba to all with his own hands along with the food with great love that time. After satisfying himself that the food was properly cooked, the vessel would be taken off the fire and brought into the masjid and kept there. After getting the Maulavi to say Fatiha over the food, with proper rituals, the prasad would be sent to Malsapati and Tatya at first. Then all the remaining food would be distributed by Baba with his own hands to the poor and the weak till they had their fill and felt contented himself. All those who needed the food savored it with eagerness till they had their fill. Moreover, Baba urged them to eat more, saying, Take, take with love. How great is the merit of those who received this food to their heart's content, which was served by Baba himself. How fortunate they were. Here, it would be natural to have a doubt whether Baba distributed non vegetarian food to all the devotees without hesitation. It will take no time to clarify this doubt. He distributed this food only to those who were regular meat eaters. Those who are not accustomed to this life were not even allowed to touch it. He never attempted it. He never attempted to offer meat. He attempted to offer meat only to those who had an earnest craving to get prasad. When a guru gives anything as prasad, the disciple who thinks and doubts whether it's acceptable or not otherwise goes to perdition. In order to see how far any disciple had imbibed this principle, Baba proposed tests with humor. In this context, as I write, I am reminded of an anecdote which the listeners should hear with attention. It will be beneficial to them. On one Ekadasi day, Baba said to Dada Kelkar, Will you bring me some mutton from Korhala? For that, Sai took out money and gave them to Dada, counting them. Go yourself, he ordered. You should yourself do this. His name was Ganesh Damodar and the surname was Kelkar. People knowing him to be elderly also called him Dada. He was the father-in-law of Hari Vinayak Sate. He had immense love for Sai. Being a Brahmin, he performed the religious duties of a Brahmin with reverence and was endowed with good thoughts and had a good conduct. Though he served the Guru day and night, he was not satisfied. Why did he not experience the strangeness of this command? He whose body is sound and has the strength of previous habits, such a person's mind is never fickle and intellect is steady at the feet of the Guru. He knew that offering money, grain, and clothes is not only the dakshina but implicit obedience to the Guru's orders is the real dakshina that pleases the Guru the most. He has real faith who offers his whole being and ultimately attains the Guru's grace. Obeying the order, he quickly changed his clothes and set out to go to a village which he was called back. Oh, you can send someone to make this purchase, Baba said. You need not take the unnecessary trouble of coming and going yourself. So Dada asked Pandu, the servant, to get meat. Here's what Baba said to Dada at that time. When Pandu was about to leave and had started on the way, Baba said, Let it be for today. Ask him to come back. Be it so. On another occasion, Baba had intense desire to cook. So he put the large cooking vessel on the hearth and filled it with mutton. He washed the rice and added it to the measured quantity of water. After adding the firewood in the hearth, Baba sat there blowing out to make the fire burn higher. The whole village owed obedience to him, and anyone would have loved to tend the fire, but without Baba's order, no one dared to do so. That, for that matter, It was only necessary to give the order, and the food would have been cooked and brought. Everyone was ever anxious to serve him, but Sai was not interested. It is not a correct way that he was not interested. He who desired to cook, why take the trouble? And others to give food in charity to strangers for his own sustenance. He asked for alms and roamed from door to door for it, asking for just a quarter piece of bhakri. But when he himself was desirous of giving food in charity, he was not satisfied till he took the trouble himself and did not depend on anyone else. Baba paid cash and himself brought enough flour, wheat, rice, and pulses to feed 100 people. Taking the scuttle in his hand, he would go to the grocer's shop, and people learned from him how to do an honest transaction, how he would pick up items in his hand and fix the price after bargaining. No one could deceive him nor pride himself that he had done so. He eventually paid the price, twice the amount asked for, and in cash, but while bargaining, he would not accede to one paise more than the price. He had great desire to do the work himself and did not like anyone else doing it. He did not expect anyone's help and did not wish to trouble others. This is one principle that Baba kept before him all the time. Therefore, for the work of cooking, he asked for no one's help. It was not only for cooking. In the room adjacent to the dhoni, where the firewood was stacked, three-fourths of the wall on the eastern side was built by Baba with his own hands. He mixed the mud with water. Then, taking the trowel in his hand, Baba would lay the bricks one upon the other to build the wall. How else did Baba not do? He smeared the cow dung in the masjid himself. He sewed the kafni and the langot himself. He had no expectations of anyone else. When the steam came out of the cooking vessel and the contents of the cauldron was fiercely boiling, Baba rolled up his sleeve and put his arm inside and churned the whole mass from side to side and up and down. Seeing the vessel bubbling and in the need of stirring, Baba would show this incredible leela at such a time. Imagine the hand of flesh and blood in that boiling hot vessel, but there was not a mark of scalding or burning on his hand or any expression of fear on his face. How could that hand, whose touch to the forehead of devotees remove their threefold calamities, be troubled by the fire? Would it not know its greatness? He would spread the soaked dal on the grinding stone, would clean it himself, take the muller in his hand and grind it, and then make moong waddies from it. Then he would slowly slip them into the vessel and stir them to prevent sticking at the bottom of the pot. When cooked, he would take it off the fire and distribute prasad to all. The listeners would question how the prasad could be distributed to all when Sai Baba was a Muslim. How could he make the people eat food by him, which would be defiling for the Hindus as per their code of behavior? There is only one answer to this question. Sai was always attentive to the matters relating to conformity or non-conformity to religious matters. Sai never insisted that all these dishes prepared in the cooking vessel should be partaken by everybody indiscriminately, but he filled the desires of those who wished voluntarily to have that prasad in good faith. He never practiced any fraud or deceit. Besides, who knew the caste? Since he stayed in the masjid, it was that he was a Muslim. But considering his ways of behavior, none knew to what caste he belonged. Where lies the question of considering the caste of him who is believed to be God and at the dust of whose feet refuge has been taken? Their attempt to attain spirituality treated scornfully. Where lies the question of knowing the caste of him who is detached from this world and heaven too, and whose only wealth is discretion and detachment. The attempt to attain spirituality by those who do so must be treated scornfully. Where lies the question of knowing the caste of him who is beyond the dualities of dharma and adharma and who abides in pure and supreme bliss? The attempt to attain spirituality by those who do so must be treated scornfully. I sing these stories about Baba's life for my own pleasure. Who intensely desire to hear them will find his devotion fulfilled. So be it. The episode of this story is incomplete. Let us go back and listen with care to what Baba said to Dada. I have made pilaf with mutton. Have you seen how it has turned out? Dada casually said. Yes, yes, it is very good indeed. Dada was an old and leading devotee who regularly practiced the rituals of bath prayers, etc., and acted in accordance with an ethical code. He did not find this question in order. Baba then said to Dada, "You have never seen it with your own eyes, nor have you tasted it. How can you say that it is good? Oh, take off the lid of the cooking vessel and feel it with your own hand." Then, taking his hand himself, he thrust it into the pot. Moreover, he said, "Take out your hand, take a ladle and serve it in the platter. Do not care for your orthodoxy. Do not unnecessarily bluster." The thought that a saint would make a disciple polluted is itself strange at an outset. The saints are always flowing with mercy. They know how to behave. When a wave of real love arises, even a mother pinches her child with her own hand. Then, when the child begins to cry, she hugs him close to her bosom. One who likes to eat what was forbidden, his wish was fulfilled, while one who had to control over the mind was supported by Sai to refrain from such food. This desire to obey the order of the Guru at times reached such heights that those who in their lifetime had never touched meat wavered. The reality was that Baba never provoked any one of the devotees to tread on the wrong path. So be it. Until 1910, this business of cooking went on and off with great enthusiasm. Thereafter, Das Ganu arrived in Bombay, who impressed the hearts of all greatness of Sai with his kirtans. From then onwards, Baba's greatness came to be known to all, young and old, and countless people hence started going to Shirdi. Then started Baba's puja or worship, which with the five prescribed items and different varieties of Naivedya, food and snacks in the noon and later. Varnan, rice, shira puri, chapatis, chutneys, salads, different kinds of panchamrits, kheers, heaps of food descended. Pilgrims came in large numbers. One and all came running for darshan. They offered Naivedya at Sai's feet, and those who were hungry were naturally satisfied. Baba was treated and worshipped like a king with the canopies and whisks. The tal and the ghol reverberated the circle of devotees who increased. His glory spread everywhere. People sang his praises. Shirdi became a pilgrimage later on, very holy for the visitors. Because of this, the main reason for cooking was served. Such large quantities of Naivedya came that the fakirs and the paupers were satisfied to their heart's content and lot of food was left over. Now I shall narrate another story which will give you pleasure to listen. How Baba was displeased when disrespect was shown towards any deity or shrine. Drawing inferences, some people said that Sai was a Brahmin and some that he was a Muslim. He was beyond all castes and creeds. No one knew definitely when he was born or where, in what community, or who are his parents. Then how could he be a Muslim or a Brahmin? If he was a Muslim, how would there be worship of fire in the masjid or a Tulsi Vrindavan there? Or how would he have borne the ringing bells? How could he have permitted the blowing of conch and recitation of katha and kirtan with instruments playing of tal, ghol, mridang, and loud chanting of the Lord's name? If he was a Muslim, would his ears have been pierced? Would he have renovated and repaired temples by spending his own money? After bath, would he have worn an expensive pitambar? He never tolerated the slightest disrespect to any deity. I recall while writing this a story illustrating this aspect which I have which I present very humbly. Listen to it attentively. See what happened once. Baba returned from Lendi and sat in the masjid. The devotees began arriving for the darshan. Amongst them, the great devotee Chandorkar, whom Baba loved very much. He came with Biniwale, his brother in law, eager for a darshan. After long absence to Sainath, both of them sat in front of him. While they were exchanging generalities about the welfare and well being, Baba suddenly got angry. Baba said, Nana, how is it that you have forgotten after having spent such a long time in my company? Is this only what you have learnt? It is this the result of the time you have spent in my company? How could your judgment have strayed like this? Tell me in detail. Listening to this, Nana became dejected. He wondered about the reason of this anger, but could not recall anything. He felt sad. He could not remember where he had erred. He could find no reason for that anger. But unless something had happened, Baba would never hurt anybody. Therefore, he clutched Baba's feet and repeatedly entreated him. Finally, Nana supplicated earnestly and asked, Why are you angry? Though you have been in association with me for so many years, how could you have acted thus? What happened to your senses? Baba asked Nana, When did you come to Kopargaon? What happened on the way? Where did you get down on the way? Or did you come here straight? Something strange happened on the way. I feel like listening to it in detail. Tell me what happened and where, be it big or small incident. Hearing this, Nana realized his mistake and his face fell immediately. Though he felt ashamed to speak of it, he narrated it. Nothing could be concealed here. Having decided this, Nana told Baba whatever had happened in detail. There is no lying here before Sai. Falsehood does not gain Sai's grace. Dishonesty leads to destruction, and ultimately lies lead one to hell. To deceive the Guru is a very great sin from which there is no atonement. Realizing this, Nana described in detail to Baba whatever had happened. Nana said, We hired a Tonga to come straight to Shirdi, as a result of which Biniwale missed the darshan of Lord Datta on the banks of Godavari. Biniwale is a Datta devotee. From when we come across a Datta temple on the way. He wanted to get down to have Datta's darshan, but I was in a hurry, so I prevented him and told him that we could take the darshan on our return journey from Shirdi. Thus, becoming hasty and thinking it would get late to come to Shirdi, I tried to avoid the matter and disregarded Datta's darshan. Later, while bathing in the Godavari, a big thorn pierced my foot and gave me lot of trouble on the way till I could pull it out with much effort. Then Baba advised, It is not good to be in such haste. Thank your stars that you had only the thorn to contend with, though you had disrespected the darshan. When a very venerated deity like Datta is on the way awaiting darshan, unfortunately, is is he who has not taken the darshan. How can I help him? Let us now end the story about the cooking. How pure and holy was the midday meal in the company of Sai in the masjid. How wonderful was Sai's love for his devotees. After the noon puja and the daily aarti of Baba, when the devotees were about to return, Baba gave Udi to all. Baba used to come and stand near the wall edge of the masjid. The crowd of the devotees stood waiting in the courtyard, and each one filed past, bowing at his feet. Whoever stood in front of Baba after having put his head at his feet was applied Udi by Sai on his forehead at that time one by one. Now, all of you, young and old, go to your homes and eat. Obeying this order from Baba wholeheartedly, the people returned. Now, after Baba's back was turned, the curtain to the masjid was drawn according to the custom. The rattling noise of the platters and small bowls could be heard. Then started the splendor of the prasad. Many sat in the open courtyard waiting to get balance of the naivedya that was left over, which was made holy by the touch of Sai's hand. At this end, Baba was sat near the nimbar with his back to it, with two rows of devotees on each side. Everyone was immensely happy. Everyone pushed his own Naivedya in front of Sai Samartha. Then he put all in one platter with his own hands, collecting it all together. One has to be incredibly fortunate to get even a grain of that food touched by Baba's hand, eating which was purified from within and without. One's life mission was achieved. Vades, innumerable sanjorias, puris, sometimes chicaneries, garge, fenni, various vegetables and salads, all were mixed well by Baba. Thus, all this mixed food was offered to God and concentrated. Then he filled the platter high and passed them to Shama and Nana Nimorkar to distribute. Then, calling one by one, he made them sit near him, and with great joy and love made him to eat till he was stuffed. All this food was very palatable, and on account of the pure savory ghee, chapatis, pulses would all be mixed. Baba would make this hodgepodge and serve everybody. On eating this hodgepodge, made so lovingly, it was equivalent to heavenly bliss. Those who ate ended up licking up their fingers fully contented. Sometimes there were Mondays, Puran Poli, Puri mixed with sugar, sometimes Basundi, Shira, Sanjoria, and Gulavari. All these were distributed. Sometimes white fluffy rice, a variety known as Ambimbohar with varan, flavored with ghee, tasted and savory, surrounded with a variety of vegetables. In addition, there were pickles and papads and raitas, different varieties of bhajis and bhartas. Sometimes there was a panchamrit to which was added curd or buttermilk. Blessed were those who ate such divine food. How could the food be described when Sainath himself is partaking it and distributing it? The devotees ate to their heart's content and even blenched to show their satisfaction. Every mouthful was satisfying, giving pleasure and nourishment, and extinguishing hunger. Such was this relishable and palatable food, which was very holy and given with love. The Lord's name was taken with every mouth, and ahutis were offered of this divine food. The platters never got empty, and food was served time and again. Those who preferred a particular sweet dish were served it with love, and many liked mango nectar, and they were given that with love. Baba instructed Nana Sahib Nimborkar or Madhavrao Deshpande every day to serve this food. They considered the distribution of this Naivedya as their regular and religious work and performed their task with great love. The rice and the savory looked like the buds of jasmine, of which the yellow tur dal was served with a round spoonful of ghee to all. As the food was served, the atmosphere was pervaded with delightful fragrances. Various chutneys added zing to the food. Nothing was poorly cooked or tasteless. Everyone ate to their heart's content. That vermicelli in the platters were made of heavenly bliss, and the purudias were made with love and devotion. Who else but those who experience peace and joy can come to eat? Where God is food and He Himself partakes of it and savors it. Blessed are those who serve that food, and blessed are those who receive it. The root cause of all this delight was the powerful faith at the Guru's feet. It is not sugar nor jaggery that is sweet, but the total faith in the Lord that makes it heavenly. Such was the perpetual prosperity there, with abundance of kheer, shira, and kalya, that one sat down to eat. There could be no shilly shallying even to a small degree. Though a variety of food was cooked and everyone ate to their fill, yet the meal was incomplete without rice and curd. If the rice and curd were not served, at least buttermilk was asked for. One glass of pure buttermilk was filled by Guru Raya with his own hands and given to me to drink with love. When I put it in my lips, I saw it was pure white buttermilk. I was very contented and happy. When I put the glass to my lips, I was in full bliss. Already my stomach was full with a sumptuous meal, and I was wondering how I could imbibe it. When I had this troublesome doubt, the first sip proved very tasty. Seeing me hesitating, thus Baba spoke very earnestly. Oh, drink all of it. You will not get such an opportunity again. So be it. I realized the truth of this because 2 months later, Baba's avatar was no longer manifest as he took Samadhi. Now, to quench the thirst for the buttermilk, there is no other way than drinking the nectar of Sai stories. That is our only resort. Hemad surrenders to Sai. I will narrate whatever Sai makes me recall in future. Listeners should remain attentive. May there be well being. This is the end of the 38th chapter of Shri Sai Satcharithra, written by the devotee Hemad Pant, impelled by saints and virtuous people, called Description of the Cooking and the Vessel. This is offered to Shri Sadguru Sainath. May there be auspiciousness. Om Sai Ram. Now let us do the श्री सच्चिदानंद सतगुरु साईनाथ महाराज की जय. शिर्डी माझे पंढरपूर साई बाबा रमावर, बाबा रमावर, साई बाबा रमावर. शुद्ध भक्ती चंद्रभागा भाव पुंडलिक जागा, पुंडलिक जागा, भाव पुंडलिक जागा. याऊ याऊ अवघे जन, करा बाबा श्रीवंदन. साई श्रीवंदन, करा बाबा श्रीवंदन. तनु बने बाबा साई, पाव पाव माझे आई, पाव माझे आई, पाव पाव माझे Om Sai Ram. I urge all the listeners to read one chapter of the Sai Satcharithra daily and soak in Baba bliss. Baba bless you. Om Sai Ram.